Have you ever gotten to the point in a project where you just weren't sure how you wanted to execute on an idea you had? In my current terrain build, I've hit such a point. I know I want to incorporate catwalks, but I'm not sure what's going to look right. There's an easy way to figure it out though: rapid prototyping. Let's you and I build a couple of platforms together and see what sticks. I devised a plan in which I would create 4 platforms without any upfront design work, each of which would feature some unique features and materials. I'm not going to worry about how they're suspended or what kind of safety railing they have. Safety. I just want to focus on the platform itself. Whatever features I most like, they're going to end up in the final catwalk. Though you'll just have to see what that looks like in my other project. Get subscribed if you want to see that.
For the first platform, I used this tray that used to hold a pack of chocolates. It has a texture very reminiscent of tread plate sheet metal, though it comes with the disadvantage of not being readily available. I have a decent supply though. I cut out 4 squares of this material, then I did a quick cleanup just to make sure that I had straight edges. Then moved on to creating a frame using plasticard.
This process was tedious and imperfect. We'll see if we can improve it for platform number 2.
I cut out a back plate using chipboard, then started gluing everything into place. The result is imperfect, but nothing that can't be improved upon. This design shows a lot of promise. The last thing I did was use some foam board to create some depth to the platform, attaching this with hot glue, though I wasn't a fan of how this looked. For the second platform, I started by making a frame out of sprues, cleaned up the extrusions only as much as necessary, then cut each end at a 45-degree angle using my miter shears. I then glued these together using a square, simple and easy. For the floor of the platform, I took plastic mesh canvas and cut out a square, 45 degrees rotated from the grid. I attached this to the frame using superglue. Then, I created a frame of plasticard, similar to the first platform, but as a single piece this time. This removed almost all of the errors that I had with the first platform. Finally, I took 4 strips of plasticard and covered the sides.
I don't think I care for these though, but I have another idea for platform 3.
For the third platform, I recreated the plasticard frame from the second, but this time I built a box within which I would place random bits of detail. With any luck, these details would be visible through the gaps in the plastic mesh canvas. I took pieces of wires, guitar strings, and a zip tie, and glued them into place using superglue. Once I was happy with the interior decorations, I wrapped the exterior with segments of zip ties.
I think the texturing here makes for great sci-fi theming. These are definitely going to see use in other projects. Let me know what detailing ideas you have that could really make these platforms shine. For the final platform, I wanted to create something with a little orc spirit.
The boys need somewhere to shoot from.
I looked at the Kill Team Octarius box for inspiration, then got to work.
Instead of creating a frame like I had with other platforms, I created 3 beams using more sprues, and bent them up at imperfect angles. Then I cut up scraps of several different materials, being sure to exaggerate imperfections, and added some new imperfections as I went on. The more variation, the better, and gouges and cuts are going to add to the feeling that this platform was constructed out of scrap metal the orcs found just lying around. Once I was satisfied with the pieces I had, it was just a case of attaching them all to those beams I had made earlier. Finally, I cut up stir sticks and added them over this gap. They'll make good planks and just add an extra bit of variety to the piece.
All things told, this was the easiest platform to construct, and the one with the most character.
Once I was happy with the platform, I decided to quickly put together a tower to demo them on. I hadn't meant to put any effort into this, but ended up getting carried away and making a ladder as well. That doesn't mean I did it well though. It gets the point across, but it's not going to see any table time soon.
There's the construction complete, but I'm not done just yet. If I really want to get a sense for which of these platforms look best, we're going to have to do some painting. Now, I'm not looking for anything too fancy, but even a simple paint job will tell us a lot about these pieces.
I primed using Mechanicus Gray because it's what I had on hand, though I would have preferred Lead Belcher. Anything I wanted metallic I would now have to paint by hand. I had initially thought I would spend more time painting the tower, but after seeing how quickly the wood absorbed the paint, I decided against that. I just wasn't getting a nice coating.
Remember, this is not the focus of this video.
I spent considerably more time with the platforms. I started by covering all the parts I wanted to be metal with lead belcher. Then I painted this panel with Barocknar Burgundy to add a bit of character, followed by these planks with Army Painter Brown. Once again, painting the planks was tedious because the wood would absorb the paint so quickly. Finally, I added a few splashes of color to the detailed platform. Again, having this variation is going a long way to create some character.
Platforms 3 and 4 were particularly fun to paint. Even though the details were sparse, they added a lot of room for character and variety.
With all the base colors done, I gave everything a good wash using Agrax Earthshade and Nuln Oil, depending on the base color. I used the washes to add a bit of splatter as well. Once that had dried, I used a bit of Typhus Corrosion to add a little more grime to the more mangled grading. As a final step, I gave everything a healthy dry brushing using lead belcher. This added a great deal of texture and really helped to sell the idea that these platforms were constructed using metal parts. I hadn't gone all out with these paint jobs, mind you. I just wanted to get a general idea of what I could expect from future platforms.
One last thing I noticed is it was difficult to see the details of Platform 3 once it had been fully painted. I think this is partially to do with the poor quality of the plastic canvas mesh, but that's going to be a pain to clean up. Instead, I decided to just cut some holes. This allowed for the detail of the lower platform to be visible and added another layer of wear and tear. In the future, I'll be planning these sorts of details in advance. So with all this, what did we end up with? Let's take a look.
These are by no means what I would consider production quality, but as prototypes, I'm very happy with the results. I now have a solid idea of how to proceed with my other terrain project, and the lessons learned are going to continue to be useful indefinitely. There's always something to be learned when prototyping.
Well, I've got a mess to clean up. I hope you've been able to take something away from this quick build.
Volume has been adjusted. Yes.